Okay, Arunda Ramachandran and Nick Feamster at Georgia Tech. They picked a very poor mouthpiece, but that's what you get. Next. Okay, they have data collection, looking for spam sources. There are two domains, so they have domain names where they seeded the network with addresses at those names, and they sync mail via MX into something called Mail Avenger, which collects the spam. There are no addresses behind those domain names, so it just syncs everything. The first one has collected 10 million pieces of spam over the last 2 years or a year and a half. The second one's recently registered. It's to get a clean control. It posted some addresses and spaces and has only gotten a few hundred. When a piece of spam comes in, when it hits, they immediately capture the BGP route advertisements for the source network. They also capture a trace route towards the source of the spam and DNSBL reports and a passive TCP host fingerprinting of the TCP session, so they have a characterization of the operating system that is the source of the spam. Okay? The spam sources are mostly botnets. To find out about them, they did DNS hijacking of the command control to get a topology and geography of the botnet. Okay, so they did a correlation with Bobax victims from a Georgia Tech botnet sinkhole, and they tried to get the distance in IP space of the client IP, in other words, the source of the spam, from the MX record. In other words, is the MX record close to it or not? And they were looking for coordinated what they found was a lot of coordinated low bandwidth sending. So some of this, not as much as we think, is short-lived BGP routing announcements, not the botnets, or that come from botnets, but a special subkit class of them. And that's, of course, the one that's kind of interesting to me. So you log the IP address of the SMTP relay, and you join that with the BGP advertisement seen as the network edge. And this is a fun one. Look at this. What's happening is, if you notice, the Oregon paper had these short little prefixes coming out. These are /8s being announced. The /8 is announced, 10 minutes later withdrawn, and in that period, you get hit by spam coming from the empty space in it. In other words, 61008 has addresses allocated in it. They bring up the big /8 and they send spam from the holes. And of course, and that's about, it varies between 1% and 10% of all the spam collected had this. So it's a small club, but it's a very persistent club that's been doing this. Okay? The other pattern you see, this is 820008, is bring it up, hit you with spam, bring it right back down. Bring it up, hit you with spam, and again, a /8. Okay? I call this spectrum agility because it allows the spammer to announce the whole /8 and then have a whole series of bots bouncing around in the holes in that space, and they're very agile. So you'll find that, it's not on this foil, but anyway, somewheres it'll tell you that when you try to trace route or get back to the spam source, there's already nothing at that address. It's already moved. Okay? So this is a farm hitting from phony space. Client IPs can be scattered throughout the dark space. The same sender returns with a different IP address. Okay? So here's what the song Vixie's been singing forever is correct. Filter your sources, please. The route typically won't be filtered because it's a very short prefix. It's a very important prefix. Low damping on the /8s. Remember, all the things /8s make an ideal spam source. Okay, but notice they're not using the yet-to-be errand /8s. These are real /8s that have allocated space in them. They just have big holes. So the IP addresses are widely distributed across the 8 space. They typically appear only once each. Depending upon which /8, most of the packets were not reachable by traceroute when you go back for them. Some IP addresses were in allocated but unannounced space. Some AS paths associated with the routes contained reserved AS numbers. So a lot of faking. How are DNS RBLs working? Okay, here are the blacklists. This light green hard to see curve is about short-lived announcements. Here's the long, here's the Bobax drone. No, and that's the mean. So what you see is half the IPs are coming from the short list ones that are listed in a blacklist, and that means the other half aren't in the blacklist and they're from other persistence. And I think we're getting near the end. There is a full tech report on this. Send mail to Nick. He didn't want a clear email address in there, so it's Feamster at cc.gatech.edu. And one more, there is another foil. Okay, this just to give you an idea. Here is 1 day. This is a log second scale. And this is a CDF of the length of an announcement and how much spam's received. So maybe 10% of the spam is coming from short-lived announcements. And then it plateaus, and then it's the fast curve.
All right. Thank you, Andy.